All right, welcome everybody to the Coaches Networking Group. Today we have a really special guest. Hi, Katharina.
Hello.
So I just want to give a little bit of a synopsis of how we connected with everybody here in the group. Um, Katharina, I was talking to Raga, who's my coach. How many of you here were for the first master class that we had in the group in January with Raga, or have you watched the replay? Just raise your hand if you've watched the replay from January or you were present. Um, if you haven't seen that replay and you would like to watch that, it was really, really great. Had a lot of great conversation about building a coaching business, creating clients, so it could be useful. But Raghav is my coach, and I was talking to him about another group that I've created called the Coaches Creation Circle. And I was talking to him about people who I was like looking for people that could be coaches that could come in and do some training and some Q&A. And one of the people that he mentioned was Katerina. And so I reached out to Katerina. We created some time, and she told me her story, which is phenomenal, by the way, of really quickly being a mother and being the owner of a business very quickly, part-time coaching, creating a prosperous coaching business. And I was really excited about that. And I thought, you know what would be a great fit for her to see if she would come here and share. And I asked, and she graciously said that she would. So here she is. So I'm really excited about that. So thank you for being a yes to that, Katarina.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, yeah. What's on your heart? What do you feel like would be the most fun way for you to start to share about your experience that would serve? I kind of want to let you, you know, let your heart be your guide.
Yeah, maybe I can start by sharing a little bit about me. I don't know, some people may have read my bio, but maybe you haven't, so you know nothing about me. So maybe I'll just start by sharing a bit, and then you guys can ask me questions. Yeah? Okay.
Sounds good to me.
So I'm based in England, first of all. So I live in a small town close to Manchester. I'm originally from Germany, but I live here now with my husband and two kids who are 9 and 11. And professionally, I started my career in marketing. Um, I think it was just something I went into because I felt like it felt like the right thing to do, something, like a going into business, going into marketing was yeah, maybe something that I thought that's where people make money, and that's why I did that. Um, and quite quickly, I realized that the corporate world wasn't really for me. I actually ended up going to New York. I don't know where you guys are from, probably different parts of the US, maybe different parts of the world. So I lived in New York for a while and was working there in marketing for a German company. And during that time, I discovered bar fitness. Those of you who don't know, it's a fitness method that uses the ballet bar. It's a blend of yoga, ballet, and Pilates, and I fell in love with it. So when I returned back to Europe, I ended up opening one of the UK's very first bar studios. I had trained as an instructor. I had a business partner with me and a team, and I did that for a number of years. We grew to several locations at some point, and well, in the meantime, I met my husband. I had kids, um, and I really enjoyed helping people feel better in their bodies and feeling strong. But there was like a piece that was missing for me. And that's how I got more into personal development and coaching. And eventually I left that business. I sold my share of the business. And well, at the time I I hired a coach myself because I wasn't quite sure what my next steps should be. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is really powerful. And yeah, that's how I decided I'm gonna do some training as a coach and see if I can make this a career. So at that point, I had already sold my fitness business. I was just doing a bit of freelance teaching on the side. So I pretty much threw myself into um, full-time coaching. Well, almost full-time, just besides doing a few classes and raising my kids, which is obviously also a big task. So yeah, the way I grew my business, and everyone does it differently. There's no right or wrong. But what really worked for me was simply using my existing network of people I met through my fitness business, like fitness clients, but also former colleagues from my previous work in marketing, people I had met in all parts of the world, really, and just reconnecting and catching up and yeah, just having conversations with people and listening and seeing what was going on for them, and then offering them free coaching. And from there, creating paying clients. So yeah, it took me about, I think after about 9 months, I was up to 10 clients. And then I think after about a year, I was like up to like 14 clients. And at some point, I settled at 12, which was a great number for me. And yeah, for me, it's just been, and since then, I've kept my practice full. So it's just been a fun way of growing my business for me. It's been, I want to say, I've experimented quite a lot. I've yeah, just kind of figured out who I like to coach and kind of grown from there, grown my business organically. So yeah, I guess this is kind of the everything in a nutshell. So yeah, I'd be happy to answer any
Yeah.
questions.
I want to ask
Yeah.
you some questions because I'm really intrigued by this because one of the things that I've noticed is for a lot of coaches, it seems to take a lot longer. Like for me, it's been 5 years. You know, I started out and I struggled and did the marketing thing. I came from restaurant business, family restaurant business, but it feels like it's taken way longer than I thought. And for you, it was like 9 months. You were like 10 clients. It's like, whoa, what kind of magic is that? You know, that's like magical. And I don't hear that a lot in the coaching world. So I want to say bravo to you and to really like break down how that was created. It was like you had a lot of people you connected with in corporate, and then you had the people that you had connected with through bar fitness. And you were saying you had a coach. How long did you have a coach before you decided to be a coach?
Only about like 3 months. So yeah, that was quite a quick decision. But
Yeah.
then I basically went to coach training where I didn't have a one-to-one coach, but we obviously did a lot of coaching, practicing on the calls. But what really made the difference for me is when I was about to complete my training and I was like, okay, I really want to do this as a business. Um, I reconnected with somebody who I actually went to university with, who he's a coach. Some of you might know him. He's called Johannes Metzler. I think you might know him, Robert. I don't know. So he's based in Germany. So I reconnected with Johannes because we were old friends because he came from the corporate world and he had since gone into coaching and I saw that he was doing it very successfully. So I just thought I'll just reach out to him for a bit of advice. And well, we had some calls, and I actually then ended up hiring Johannes as my coach, basically right from the start as I was launching my business. And that was the best decision I ever made because I couldn't have done what I did without his mentoring and support. So he basically taught me the way of growing a coaching practice where you basically just have conversations with people and grow your practice based on service. So I didn't take that detour that a lot of coaches I think took, where they fell for, marketeers and different, spent money on different things, or maybe tried it on their own and it didn't quite work. I want to say I kind of fast tracked the whole thing by hiring a coach who was with me from day one.
Yeah, I love that you're sharing that. That's awesome. Um, And I didn't do that in the beginning either. And I wonder by a show of hands, how many people here in the very beginning when you started your coaching business, you hired a one-on-one coach? Raise your hand. How many of you, by raise of hands, how many people here have a full coaching practice? Yeah, it makes a difference. And that's something I've noticed with OnCush, and I know you know who OnCush is. I mean, I feel like I'm a fanboy of OnCush. I'm like, I love that guy. He's helped me out so much. And I just said yes to the AJC this year, which you were a part of as well, correct? That's the school that you did, the training you did.
Yeah,
Um,
I did it twice. So after coaching with Johannes, he introduced me to Ankush, and yeah, I and that was also definitely the best decision ever because it just sped everything up for me, and I just grew so much faster through AJC.
yeah, yeah, it is a big investment. I mean, in the UK, it's a little bit less. I don't know if it's less of an investment. I think it is because you have to, like from the US, you have to fly.
Of course,
You
yeah.
don't have to, but you have to at least fly one weekend. There's the three trips to the London, which I'm going to do all three trips in the next 9 months. Um, but yeah, that's a big commitment. So I want to say, I want to acknowledge you for the commitment that you made, that um, that you said yes to coaching right away, and you went to the AJC two times in a row, like as a beginning coach, as a beginner coach. That's really phenomenal. And you have a full practice now, which is not surprising. Um, and do you fill your practice through invitation and referral only, or do you do marketing? Or I'm curious of how you keep your practice full.
So I've had a lot of renewals over the last 3 years. Um, and just continue to have conversations. I yeah, I yeah, it's mainly been I think I've really thrived on the renewals, I've got to say, because that's what I really love about my business is that I build these long-term relationships with clients. I usually work with clients for like 6 months, but then they renew and renew again. So lots of clients I've worked with for a year, for 2 years. One client I've worked with from day one. So my longest client actually, I she started as a pro bono client because I was looking for people to coach for free as I was going through my coaching training. And then I started charging, and then she stayed with me ever since and renewed and renewed and renewed. Even as my prices increased, she stayed with me. So yeah, that's really fulfilling to work with people for a long time.
Yeah, I love that you're speaking to the long-term relationship business. And we have a question here in the chat. Um, Dr. Christine says, may I ask how you found a one-on-one coach? She said she's been looking, but a lot of them looks like they were super pricey. And it didn't seem to work on what she was struggling with. So I'm curious, how did you find your, and then we're going to open it up for questions too. I just wanted to, there were some things I was inspired to ask you, Katarina. And so what would you say to that question, to Dr. Christine's question?
Yeah, so first of all, in terms of coaches being pricey, I just wanted to speak to that. When you start any new business, you're going to have investments. If you start a company, you might have to hire premises or you might have to invest in machinery or whatever it may be, depending on the business. As a coach, you can technically start a business without any money. All you need is maybe like your laptop and the Zoom account. And that's why I think um, investing in a coach is actually, it makes sense, just like you would invest money when you start any kind of other company. Um, so, so that's what I just wanted to say about, investing in coaching in general or investing in training, like I did with AJC, and how I found my coach. So, well, I this was a connection that I had. So an old friend from university, as I was saying earlier, Johannes, he I saw on social media that he had become a coach, and we went to university together, but we'd not actually spoken for like 20 years or something. Or like we loosely kept in touch, but not really. And then I reached out to him just for a bit of advice, like how did you do things? And it looked like he was being quite successful with what he was doing. And then we just keep talking and talking. And then initially I asked him, oh, well, first of all, he introduced me to the idea of having a one-to-one coach because he was coaching with Ankush and he was telling me about his journey and how much having a one-to-one coach had helped him. And he said, the best advice I can give you is to hire a coach. And then at first I asked him, like, do you have any recommendations? And he gave me some recommendations. And he was like, okay, or you could just work with me. And I was like, oh yeah, of course I could. I was like, that wasn't even on my radar because we had this history of, having had a relationship. But I was like, yeah, this makes sense. You've helped me so much already. Like, why wouldn't I hire you? And at the time, what he was charging, he charged like 3 times that much. But at the time, what he was charging, I thought was expensive. But I just trusted him because of the really powerful conversations we'd had. And I knew that if I hired him, that would help me take my business to the next level. But in
Yeah.
terms of finding the right coach for you, I would just say um, speak to people, or maybe speak to coaches who've successfully grown their business, or who are on the path of growing their practice and who also have a coach that is working well for them. You can just get recommendations that way. I mean, I talk about my own coach to people all the time. I used to coach with Johannes. Now I'm coaching with Raghav, who's also your coach, Robert. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I feel like there's such a network of great coaches. You've just got to maybe find the right one for you that you click with. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, and I can speak a little bit to this too, because when I first started coaching, like I was part of the life coaching network groups on Facebook and connected. And there were always so many people that they were like spamming the messages all the time, and everybody had something, and everybody was trying to give me clients. Like, hey, I have clients I want to give you. Like, really? You want to give me clients? Oh, this is cool. And then you go down and they're like, okay, just give us $5,000 and we guarantee you'll make 100K in 15 minutes. We promise you're going to make 100K in 15 minutes if you give us $10,000. Was like, okay, all right. Let me think. That sounds like a good deal. How can I go wrong? I've heard a lot of coaches have done that. And I've talked to a lot of coaches that have done that. But my first coach was more of a marketing coach. The strategy was create a program on Kajabi, and then you have a program and clear messaging and a clear niche. And the second coach I hired was a coach that was connected to a book called The Ultimate Coach Book. Some of you may know that the book that talks about Steve Hardison's life. And it was one of the people that was connected with that. And I paid a whole lot of money before I actually had, to me, it was a lot of money, but before I had an actual experience with the coach of him being able to help me create what I wanted. And I think that's what I want to speak to for everybody here is just make sure that you have a couple experiences with a coach and they can help you start to create what you want to create. And you can see, like, if I do this and I continue to do this, this is going to help me create what I want. Like, I think that's the most important thing when hiring a coach, in my experience, is make sure that that person can help you get where you want to go. Don't believe the promises that they tell you. And that, like, most great coaches I know, well, they're not going to try to sell you anything. They're going to give you an experience. They're going to help you create what you want. And if it's helpful, they're going to say, do you want more of that? And if it is helpful and you do want more of that, then they'll say, okay, hey, this is how we work. This is how we can work together. Would you say that's been your experience?
Yeah, 100%. So conversations that were really powerful for me and really impactful. They were coaching me already before I started paying them, and I could really tell that they cared about my journey and my progress, and that what made me trust them, and that's what made it a no-brainer eventually to sign up. So yeah, anyone who's trying to sell you something in the first on the first call, I would stay clear of that. I think you can tell from the energy. And that's also how I do it with my clients. I usually have at least two, sometimes three conversations with somebody before we even talk about payment because I want to make sure that I'm the right person to help them and they need to make sure that I'm the right coach for them. So I think any trustworthy, powerful coach would do it in that way.
Yeah, awesome. I love that. And funny story, like Raghav, when I went to Raghav, I said, "Hey, I have this much money to spend, and I want to find a coach. Can you help me?" And he was like, "Yeah, I can help you. And maybe we can talk about us working together." He wasn't even on my radar. I just thought he would know somebody I could work with. And then um, it's kind of funny that that happened. And he was like, yeah, we can make something work for what you want to invest in. So it's pretty nice because he is very like he's full. He was gracious to take me on. So I really appreciate that about like all the coaches that I know that are part of the love and service path. They're so gracious with their time, with their attention, with their care, with their gifting. Um, And I learned that originally from on coach. He was the first coach that I really experienced that from in a really deep way. But there's something about that that just, I didn't spend any money with on coaching for like 4 years. So, and I'm curious if you relate to that to the coaches, if there's something you relate to that in that. And then I want to open it up for questions for the group.
Yeah, so my experience with Raghav, because I hired him last year, we've been coaching together for a year. Um, so at the point of time when I hired him, I had known him for quite a while, and he had served me so much in so many ways, by having conversations, by having coaching. He gave me some coaching calls randomly just because he's so generous and kind. And this is when I had another coach. So he actually would have, if he had been like calculating, he would have thought to himself, oh, she's got a coach. Like, why would I spend time with her? But it's just the kind of person he is. So we were in AJC together, and that's how we knew each other. And he was always really generous with his help and advice. And, I think um, as a coach, you just kind of want to go with your gut, who you want to spend more time with. If this is someone that inspires you, and it's not about are we going to work together right now or not. It's kind of like, yeah, for me, it's like, do you do you feel inspired to spend time with this person? And then if something happens at some point that you start working together, great. But if not, then that's also fine. That's how I see it.
Yeah, I love that. Do you feel inspired to be with this person, spend time with this person? It's beautiful. Yeah. Awesome. Well, I'd love to open it up for questions and see what the group, uh, if there's a little like automatic, everybody probably knows how to use the hand function, but if you just raise your electronic hand, you can raise your electronic foot too, but we won't get to you until after we get to all the electronic hands. If there is an electronic foot, I don't know if there is, but we'll get you after. That's the tail end. Do we have I can't tell on this if we have any hands up. Oh yeah, we do. Veronica. Hi, Veronica.
Oh, hello, hello, and thank you for the gift of your time and all the wisdom and knowledge you share with us. And thank you, Robert, for hosting this and everybody here. And yeah, my question is simple. It's like I'm not sure if I am delivering like hearing the issue, the problem, the red flag that somebody is conveying in conversations, and then say, hey, do you need some support on that? If you want, we can carve some time and have a conversation about that. It seems like to me, people are just not willing that, like, even if they need the help and you can help them. Like I try, I tell you what I've been like, I hung out a lot when my son is having soccer games. So, I walk around, I have conversations with parents, and it doesn't take long in the second, third sentence. It's issue issues that come up. I'm struggling with my teenager, whatever. Hey, I work for the Kids Health Line. I don't even say or what I do. I just say, hey, I can help you with that. If you want, we can carve some, and it doesn't lead anywhere. Just or excuses or like yeah, like literally running away. So perhaps the conclusion I have come to is that I need to find people who are ready, willing, and open. And it's really hard to find people who are really ready, willing, and open. So yeah, it's been a struggle that way. Not because I don't have connections and been having conversations and identifying issues. It just doesn't lead anywhere.
Yeah, shall I reply to that, Robert?
Yeah, surely. Yeah, yeah, go take it away.
Yeah, so first of all, I want to say I have felt that too, what you're feeling, and there are definitely people who are not ready for coaching, and some of them might never be ready for coaching. I don't know. But I also want to say that I think when you encounter somebody who clearly has issues and problems that need solving and they're not open, I would really slow it down with them. So instead of rushing into offering your help through coaching, and you may or may not have done this before, but you could just offer them a resource. Hey, I noticed what you said about sort of this thing, and I have a great article that might help you. Would it serve you if I send you this article? So that's one way. And just keeping in touch with them and just kind of testing the waters with them and see how they reply when you give them little nuggets and things. And at some point they might open up to the idea more. And
Hmm.
but I also think it's really easy. Yes, there are people who are not open, and it's really easy to then give up and think everybody's like that, but that's not true. So if you speak that into the world that people are not ready for coaching, then that will become more true. And then you want to be careful that you are staying open to the possibility of there that there are people that are ready.
I do, and I really appreciate that, and it's very powerful and valid, and I will put that to the test. My issue is again that crossing the line between the distinction between the friendship and the professional role. So even if I send an article or whatever, for example, in the soccer theme or where I am meeting people, people interpret like I'm going to give them that as a friend. That distinction is not easy to convey where so again I can send all the articles and resources and even help a bit, but how will I cross the bridge so they realize that it will be eventually like a professional relationship. So that's also a bit of a hard line to cross. Yeah, and how do you establish that from the beginning as well without saying this is what I do or whatever? So that's again, maybe it's going too deep into it, but I know it will take a long time. But I don't know if you have a tip on that or anybody else has that issue. That's all. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, and I've struggled with that too. So what I've done is it can sometimes be a bit blurry when you send them a resource. Am I doing this as a friend? Am I doing that as a coach? But I think the important thing for me is when I invite them into a coaching conversation, then I make sure that this is a professional context. So I might say something like, listen, I would love to give you some time with me. And during that time, I'm going to put my coaching hat on and I'm not going to talk to you like a friend. This is going to be a powerful session where I'm going to help you have some insights. And it's completely up to you whether you think it would serve you or not. But I think this could really shift things for you. And I'd love to give you that time. Does that help a little?
Very much so. Thank you so much. That's a fantastic. That clarify things. So useful. Thank you.
Awesome. Let's see. Um, Neetu, I think Neetu, you were next. I'm pretty sure.
Yes, Robert. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, Katarina. It's a pleasure meeting you and you sharing so many insight which really resonated with me because I have been into banking, finance, and been stay-at-home mom for many times in my career journey. Now my kids are, of course, one is 22 and other is 17, but still, a journey continues. My question to you is sometimes even like you start with free sessions with a client and then you progress, you have given three, four, five. How and where do you decide that, okay, it's time that we have to cross this line as a paid conversation? Do you set it up at the beginning that, okay, we will have four conversations? Or do you say, okay, as we progress and we find those indications that he or she is really in getting the benefit and seeing the benefits of coaching and would like to be ready to pay. And then, of course, you're not going up, okay, up front, like, okay, this is my fee. Or maybe you come with a conclusion, okay, what is your comfortable range to pay? So, how do you find or get into that line where you go a little bit more blurriness to more dotted lines into, okay, this is time we are going to say get into a paid conversation or paid coaching?
Yeah, it's a great question. So for me, it's probably evolved over time the way I do it. Um, I don't say ahead of time, oh, I'm going to give you so and so many free sessions. I don't do that.
Mhm,
It depends a little bit on the relationship, how many conversations I will have with them. If it's someone I already know, then I
mhm,
will invite them into a coaching conversation. And if it's someone I don't know yet, I will just have maybe a referral. I will have a call to
mm,
connect first, get to know them a little bit, and then I would invite them into a coaching conversation. And so this coaching conversation, I would normally do an hour and a half. And sometimes by the end of this 90 minutes, so this would have been at least the second time that I've met them, right?
mhm,
So sometimes by the end of these 90 minutes, it's been such a powerful call that the person will ask me, how can I work with you? I want to do more of this. And then I will propose. Sometimes after such a call, I feel like we didn't quite crack it yet, or there's more to talk about. And I think quite often it's mutual. They haven't reached that point where they are ready for coaching. And then I would propose another call. I would say, listen, um, I feel like we're not quite finished here, and I'd love to give you some more time with me so we can explore a little bit more. Um, so usually that would then be the last time that I speak to them for free, as a gifted conversation.
mhm,
Um, yeah, so that would be like two coaching calls, but there would have been a connect conversation or several connect conversations prior to that. And what normally happens for me, I feel like I hardly ever go into like a proposal mode, because what usually
mhm,
happens is by the end of the call, when we have come to some kind of a conclusion, I will ask, do you have any more questions for me? And then they will often say, how do I work with you? And then I just
mhm,
say it, right? Or if it's not quite the right time, then
mm,
I mean, then I can still, they might not be quite ready yet, or maybe it wasn't quite powerful enough for them yet. Then I can decide if I then offer them another gift or conversation, or I'll just decide to keep in touch with them and continue to build and strengthen the relationship. And maybe at some point in time, they will
mhm,
then come back and want to work with me one to one. So really, I guess to answer your question, it's only ever one gifted session, and then it's up to me to say, I'd like to gift you another session because I feel
mhm.
that there's more to explore for us. And that way I never fall into this trap of, I know exactly what you mean, because you can fall into the trap of another gifted session and another gift, and then you never get paid, right? Yeah. So does that help?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. It definitely helps because the thing is, you are still gauging and understanding how deep they are able to go, and if their this session resonated and hit that point inside them where they are like, wow, I really got a shift and I really need to. But I still have the question, like I am coaching a client. I came to know through my previous coaching course where I used to do, and then she didn't do the course because she's busy with, and then she needed some sessions, and we developed a relationship, and then her husband had some session and for free, 3 4, but then she said that he's not interested, but I'm in so much pain. And then she came back and I am giving her a few free sessions. But it somehow now feels like they're only there for free sessions, but they have no intention to pay. And but then I just see like, okay, on a human level, it's like, should I continue or should I just put on my coach hat and say, okay, I have given you 4 sessions or 5 sessions, and now you need to decide which way you want to go. I am very flexible in like what they are willing to pay. I'm not putting my price tag and asking for that just because of the situation they are in. So I'm just like sometimes feel yeah, yay and nay, myself before I even go to the client. So this is where I'm coming from.
Yeah, yeah. What I'm hearing is you're feeling a little bit resentful now about the doing the sessions for free. Am I right?
I am not resentful, but I am not willing for somebody to take advantage. This is where I feel that if they just say that we really need this and you are really helping, but we have no resource to pay, I'm okay to carry on with the session. Just because, there are two currencies. One is a currency of blessing, which goes far than this. And I have time. And anyway, it just gives me some experience. But if somebody is going, okay, we have the resource, but we don't need to, we can keep on getting free session. So then it's a different mindset. So this is where I am toggling in between. Is it like really a resource issue or is it a willingness issue?
Yeah. So for these people, you're not quite sure which one it is. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I get that. Generally, there's nothing wrong at all with coaching pro bono. I think it's a great
Mm,
thing to do when someone doesn't have the resources to pay, and it gives you experience, which is also
yeah.
great. So, obviously, I don't know these people's situation. That's for you to find out. But I always go with this. I don't know, like if my gut feeling tells me I go into the session and I feel a bit resentful. That's why I use that word because that's how it feels
Mm,
for me, a little bit like, well, I'm doing this, but part of me is thinking, like, why am I doing this? So I think that's
mhm,
the time to have a conversation. What you can say is that you would like to formalize your relationship
mhm,
because you think it would serve them. Because agree on a set number of sessions, set some goals, what you want to achieve by the end of it.
mhm.
So this is not about you. It's really about
Yes.
serving them and that there would be a fee. And, I do think, and you can say that to them, that people show up differently for coaching when they've paid. So in a
Mm,
way, it will serve them. But you can start by saying, I'd like to talk about the way we work together. I would like to formalize this relationship as a starting point. And then you can talk about not just the money, but also making some clear agreements with them. There might also be agreements you want to make with them, like, I don't know, about how to show up for the session. There might be some things you could do to make the coaching better from how they show up, not you, but
mhm.
from how they show up, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it absolutely makes sense. No, that really clarified a lot of things. Thank you so much. It just gives me a more bigger perspective to look at the things and understand where they're coming from and where I am looking and what are my thoughts and feelings. Thank you. Thank you
You're
so
welcome.
much. I appreciate it.
I want to check in with everybody. Is this helpful? Just raise your hand if these conversations are helpful for you, just like your regular hand. This is amazing, Katarina. I really am excited about this conversation. This has been really fruitful for me, and we have some more hands up. And before we go to those hands, I want to mention something. When I first started coaching, my main question was, how do I get clients? And as I got into the world of really amazing coaches like Ankush, Katharina, Johannes Metzler, Raghav, I started to shift my questions a bit. And a year or two ago, my question for Ankush, for me, that I wanted answered that I asked Ankush was, it went from how to get clients to how do I serve somebody so powerfully that they ask me, how can I work with you? That level of question it's a lot deeper, a lot higher level of question. And I started living from that, and I had people say, like, how do I work with you? So you reminded me of that, Katerina, with what you shared. And there's a short video clip that I've posted in the group before, way back when, but it's of Ankush where he talks about shifting your questions. If anybody on this call would like that video about shifting your questions, send me a message after this and I'll send it to you. It's very short, really valuable. So just send me a direct message. Dr. Christine, we just connected on Messenger today, and here you are. It's great to see you. Welcome.
Oops, sorry, I pressed the wrong button. Yeah, please leave the doctor. It feels super awkward to be addressed like that. It's
Okay,
just there
okay,
because
Christine.
I give my workshops on Zoom, so I need it there. Uh,
Okay, okay, Christine.
I'll undo it next time. So yeah, thank you so much. It's like super helpful content. It's kind of there's some softness around your approach that kind of melts away parts of me feeling like I don't know how to do that. Everything feels icky if I approach people like that. And my question goes into the same direction actually. Like you mentioned in the beginning, you actually yeah revived some contacts from years ago and stuff like that. And many people have told me this, and I could not get myself to do that because I felt like I'm coming there with this hidden intention, and I'm actually wanting something from them, pretending to recover the contact or to recover the friendship. And it actually, every kind of approach in my network kind of feels like that. And the result is that I actually just don't do it because I feel like I can't find a way to do that. But I'm pretty sure you have found a way that is very human and very serving because all your answers already pointed in that direction. So I'd be really curious how you did that.
Mm. I think what you're saying is so common, and I had some of those same feelings too in the beginning. But I want to say, as I started having the conversations, I found that I was really enjoying the conversations, and it didn't matter to me if something came of it or not. Because if I can reconnect with a colleague from 8 years ago, I'm genuinely interested in what they're up to. Otherwise, I wouldn't connect with them. It's only people that I'm really interested in talking to, because I liked who they were back then or whatever. And yeah, so because I found the conversations enjoyable and I often got something out of it, even if it wasn't um, a coaching conversation. Sometimes it might be a collaboration or sometimes it might be, I don't know, um, just just like some powerful insights maybe for me even, just like a human to human connection. Um, so yeah, I think just start doing it, and then when you connect with people, you realize you can actually do it without attachment because you are enjoying it. And I remember early on, I think I set myself a challenge. This week, I'm going to reach out to 20 people, for example. And I can't remember the exact numbers, but I did a bunch of challenges where I would say to my coach, this is what I'm going to do. These are the number of people I'm going to reach out to. And, sometimes when you message people, they don't reply, but that's fine. And it's a muscle that you train where you just, the more you do it, you don't care as much anymore if somebody doesn't reply because it has nothing to do with you usually. They might not have seen the message or, um, so it's just something, the more you do it, the more natural it becomes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I have a follow-up question on that. Did you like offer to just meet on Zoom, or did you go to their city and try to meet them for a coffee, or how did you set that up?
Yeah, it depends. Usually Zoom is easier. Like I wouldn't travel specifically to meet someone unless if I happen to be in the city. I mean, that would be a really good reason to get in touch. I'm in town and we've not spoken for a long time. But even if it's on Zoom, you can say, I mean, it could be something specific that you noticed about them. You can say, "Hey, listen, actually, this might be the message prior to the message where you suggest meeting up, where you just say, "Oh, I saw that you moved cities and or that you changed jobs. Just wondered how that's going for you." And then there might be some messages back and forth, and then you say, "You know what? I'd love to just get together for a coffee. And given that we're not in the same country, why don't we just have a catch up on Zoom?" And don't make it any bigger than it needs to be. Like you don't need to explain like why you're doing it. Just say it as it is. You're just having a catch up. That's all. I think you've just got to try it because what's the worst thing that could happen? If some people think, badly of you for doing that, I don't think that's actually the truth. But like if some people think that you're pushy or whatever, it's not the end of the world, is it? It's
Yeah,
just,
that's true. I guess it's more even what I think about myself, actually. But
well,
yeah.
so you're saying you have this kind of hidden agenda, this idea that you're connecting with them for a reason. But
Yeah,
why don't you just drop that? Why didn't you just say, I'm actually connecting with people because I want to connect? And just don't even think about what the next step might be.
yeah, that feels a lot better.
Because would that be so crazy to just want to connect with somebody for the sake of connecting? And I like to make these messages very personal, like, oh, when we were working together, I loved um how we were such a great team and I kind of miss talking to you. Shall we just, set up a call to connect? And there's no script, there's no right way of saying it, just whatever feels right in the situation for this particular person. But just what I'm saying is make it personal. Don't use like some kind of cookie cutter approach.
How did you choose the kind of people that you reconnected with? Like, if I think about the people from my past that, like, I would say they're so conservative that probably like 1 out of 100 would even consider coaching.
Is that really true? How do you know that?
Yeah. It's- mhm,
And you know what also happens sometimes is you talk to somebody
mhm.
and then they remember you and they know you who you are as a person and they know that you're a coach now and then someone in their network is looking for a coach and then they're going to refer you. So that's also something that can come out of these conversations. I've been referred by people who are just friends or contacts who've never had coaching by me, but they've actually referred me to people.
Thank you. What I'm taking away is to just go out and meet people and see what happens, and that feels a lot more natural.
Yeah. Yeah. Just take the pressure off, just have fun with it. For me, that's when things really shifted, was when I started having fun and just took that pressure off.
Yeah, thank you.
Is something else that comes to heart to share is that this is a relationship business. So it really is, back before I started coaching, I would be parts of different groups and then I would kind of leave those groups and not reconnect with people. And when I started coaching, one of the things, not when I first started, but as I've grown in coaching, I started to realize like how many groups of people that I'm getting emotional for some reason, but how many
Mm.
groups of people that I've connected with and haven't kept those connections. And how meaningful it is to reconnect with those people and realign in those relationships without any expectation. And in the beginning, it is hard to, it's like, yeah, I want to get clients and I want to, I want to get paid. And I feel like in the beginning, for me, it was really a rush. It was a rush to get paid. It was a rush to have a conversation. It was a rush to get my calendar full. And as I'm growing into this, it's like more of a slow, like, hey, let's just connect and see what comes alive for us. Let's like like Katarina and I, we've connected once before this, and here we are connecting with a group of people, and this is really rich. This connection is really rich. And it's fun. And sometimes it's not, sometimes it's not really rich, But sometimes I've connected with people and it's not because I'm in my head or the other person's in their head or whatever. But this is a really slow process of creating relationships with people long term. You said it earlier, Katerina, is long term relationships, creating long term relationships and rekindling relationships with people that we haven't talked to in years. Um, I see the fruitfulness in that, and how that has served me and the people that I've connected with.
Yeah, and what comes to mind right now for me is when you train this muscle of reconnecting with people, I wouldn't discriminate other than would I like to talk to this person. So don't think, oh, they have such and such a job or this and that. So I actually, in the process, also reconnected with former school friends and actually like friendships that had kind of died a little bit, where I felt like, oh, I feel really bad because we've not been in touch. And I didn't really think of this person as a client, but it was just part of reconnecting with people and training the muscle and speaking to someone that I've not spoken to for a long time. And I really enjoyed it. I was like, oh, this is really nice, that I now know what you're up to. And so just make the goal the connecting. That is the first step, connecting for the joy of it.
Yeah, love that. One more thing, and I want to get to some. Hopefully, we can get to all of our questions, but if not, it's okay. Is one of the things that I'll do is sit down and like, who am I inspired to reach out to? Like, who does intuition lead me to reach out to? That's been a great way because it's not like, who am I thinking of? Like you said, who has the most money in my network? Let's see, let's figure them out by professions. This person has the most money. Let's talk to them first because they can pay me. Yeah, let's do that. And not doing that, just like who am I inspired to connect with today? And even sitting down and creating 10 minutes for that a day. I think maybe I've mentioned that and created that with some people in this group. 10 minutes a day, inspired. Like, who am I inspired to reach out to? Do that for 10 minutes a day and connect with those people and see what happens as a possibility. Donna, hi.
Hello, everybody. Great to see everyone. So I just had one comment and then a question. I remember reading or listening. I can't remember if it was in a podcast, or maybe something that you had sent. And I think it was with, I'm not giving much context here, but I think it was with Carolyn Fryer Jones and maybe Steve Chandler or somebody else. But this person got advice, and it was something that I heard in the past week or so, that they were talking to the person, a potential client, having a conversation, and then the person brought up their problem, and then immediately they went in to say, hey, you know what, I'm a coach and maybe we can have a conversation about that. And the other person that was talking to, and again, I think it was Carolyn, had said, don't context shift, don't shift the context. And she goes, what do you mean? It's like, well, this person is telling you what's going on in their life and you're switching to sales mode. Don't. Just keep it to exactly what they're talking about. Be there, listen for that. And perhaps later, outside of that conversation create the context of offering a conversation. So don't switch. The context is just listening and then create a different container to change the context. Hey, you know what? I heard you mention such and such, and that really resonated with me. And perhaps we can have a conversation about that. So I know that Veronica was talking about, I'm hearing something in the conversation that this person's talking about, and then again, I think that might be an example. Sorry, I don't mean to call you out, Veronica, but I mean, and I do the same thing as well, and I've definitely done it. And for me, just as a comment, that really resonated. So hopefully that makes sense, and maybe Katharina can maybe speak to that, or you, Robert, as well. Is that something that you guys would do as well? You hear the issue or the problem, and then you just park it and you just leave it, and then you go back after and say, hey, you know what, I heard something, and perhaps we can have a conversation about that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's super
What's your
relative
feedback?
to what we're talking about here. Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really useful. I'm excited that you brought it to this table. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what comes to mind for me right now, before with Veronica, we were talking about offering coaching while you're speaking to somebody. What you can also do is
Mhm.
walk away and then send a really powerful message, like an email
Yeah.
invitation. So I've done it both ways and it's worked. It can work either way. The benefit of sending a message afterwards, it gives you some time to really think about it. And Carolyn Freya Jones, she describes it really well in her book. I don't know if you guys have it, the Total Coaching Success. You want to always acknowledge the person in the message, like send a beautiful acknowledgement of what you see in them, what inspires you and them, and provide some context about what happened in the coaching conversation. And yeah, and always give them also the option to say no. Um, so convey that it will be a powerful conversation, but there's basically no pressure to say yes or no. But the acknowledgement part is a big piece, and that's sometimes harder to do in person because I can't always find the right words. And I've had definitely some success sending an email message afterwards.
Mm. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, thanks for bringing that to the table. Did you have a question, Donna, too?
Yeah, I just had a question. If back to your beginning coaching, Katharina, if there was maybe one or two things that you can just off the cuff maybe offer to us when you first started your coaching practice that you could offer us that you wish you did back then, but you didn't. Is there any sort of little nuggets you might want to share?
Mm, Let me think. Um, I feel like thanks to my brilliant coach, I have no regrets. Um,
Yeah.
but I
Okay.
want
Fair
to,
enough.
as a general advice, what I want to say is, so I started with quite low fees, like no-brainer fees, and that really helped me. And I was
Mm,
luckily in a situation where I had money saved up from the company that I'd sold. I didn't need to make money straight away, and that
mm,
helped me to be unattached. And
mm,
I started out with a package of 8 sessions, which was £360. So that's like $400 maybe, so about $50 a session or $50, $60 a session. Um, so yeah, I think it helps when you start with lower fees to just play with it and not feel so attached and just
mm.
yeah, see it as a game, have fun.
For sure. Okay. That's good. Good
That's
insight.
awesome.
Thank you.
That is amazing. I did the opposite of that. It was like 10,000 a year, 2,500 for 3 months, and it was very hard to fill. Very,
Mm,
very challenging. So I want to say this has been one of the best Q&As connections we've had, Katerina. Your presence, your calm presence has been really amazing, and you coming here to share your life experience has been a real gift. And it would be fun to have you come back to the coaches networking group for one of the master classes that we do. The next one, I think we're booking out into November of next year. So maybe we can talk about that after this
Yeah, sounds
sometime.
good.
We'll connect.
I can't believe
Yeah.
an hour's already gone. It's gone very quick for me.
Yeah. It's quick. Yeah. This has been really fast. So hope you got what you needed here. If you didn't, feel free. If you have any questions or anything, feel free to reach out. If you want to connect with Katharina, feel free to reach out to me. I'll get you connected with her. Um, this has been great. There's a couple things coming up. I'm trying to think of what's next. I'll be posting it in the group, so just keep your eyes open for what's happening, and I'll be posting that in the group. So, and if you want that 5 minute or so video with Ankush talking about the questions, send me a direct message after this. Love y'all. Have a great weekend of 4th of July for those of you in the US. And Katerina will be in touch. And see you soon. Thanks. Thanks, Katerina.
Nice to meet you
Really
all.
appreciate it.
Thank you.